Hello, welcome back. I'm Tyler Edlin with 3dbuzz.com, and in video 9 I'll be covering how to find colors for your character. Alright, now it's finally time to choose some colors for your character. And I can show you different approaches I personally like and have used. So, basically if you look at any major established character out there, there's always kind of like one dominating color. That's the main color. Master Chief from the Halo series, he's green. And, there's little bits of accents of, black and maybe like a secondary color to complement that. But, Link, again, from the Legend of Zelda series, his main dominant color is green. Batman's can be black or gray. But every good character has one, major distinguishing color. And so we're going to go with that mindset now. And so I kind of just set up this little bar here to kind of help me plan out them. So let's say if I want something like red, maybe on my character to kind of be like the instant read, I'll pick that over here in the slider. I'll move this into the red and then pick something kind of like, mid-value range, somewhere around this line, but not like super intense, but so maybe like, something right about here. And I'll fill that. Okay, red will be the main color. I'll do actually, pardon me, that was my fan. Alright, yeah, something like that. And then, alright, so red's going to be the main color, and then we have like these three secondary values here. And I just set this up to help me kind of gauge how I'm going to plan the color scheme regarding these. And I'll color pick these right now to show you kind of what value range they're at. This one, is somewhere around 30%. This one, about 50%. And the last one, somewhere around 75-80%. Alright, now I can start deciding on the secondary colors. And so with this selected, I can go to Image Adjustments, Color Balance. So here are our options. And this, sliding these, will begin to tint the value swatches be set up. And so having a couple, having kind of like a foundation knowledge of color schemes kind of helps with this. Like, there's analogous, monochromatic, triads, and complementary. I won't get into those, but I can kind of give you the gist of it. Like, so if red is the main color, the complement of that will be green. So then I can like, all right, so I can move these all kind of towards like the cooler colors. And this kind of will establish this as a complementary color scheme right here. And you can tweak some of these if you want to like increase the contrast on them, but basically you can just stay in the mid-tone range right here like this. And then I come out and can decrease the saturation on those just slightly like that. Now, if you wanted to treat these further, you could always just open and see what your other possibilities are. You could, on an easy way, you could open up the hue saturation options here and just move this slider over. Now, if you don't stick just with the green, that's fine. It just won't give you like a harsh complementary scheme. Like, I could go something kind of like this. That's fine, and pull down the saturation. This is a color scheme, that essentially works. And the next part of about this is, and you've noticed this too if you've made like a custom character in a video game before, where there's kind of like color accents, and I'm just drawing a couple squares, and they have little bits of, you can pick other colors that will, you just kind of dab in maybe on an accessory or like a button or something small like that. And there's a couple of ways you can get these two, but it really doesn't matter. These can be almost anything. And one way you can do this is, color pick this, the mid-value range color like this, and then you just go all the way to like a saturated version of that. So here's one. Nice lime, nice and strong with that. You could also pick the main color right here. Something around like that, and then you could just move up or down the slider range. So, you could have like this. something like this. And now we have like a color scheme going on. And always black or white is also another safe choice. So we could just leave this white, or fill that in with black. Ultimately, doesn't matter. And that's just kind of like one way to kind of come up with them on your own. I'll also I'll show you some other techniques or resources that I use that are free on the internet. All right, so here's my here's the page. It's called colorcombos.com, and yeah, they just have basically pre-swashes of colors that kind of work or harmonize well together. And so it's just a matter of choosing one of the colors in the bands here. And then this would be my main, and then we have the two secondaries. That one's actually quite nice. And you just save the image out as a JPEG and bring it into Photoshop, whatever, and color pick them directly. And basically, they have more libraries of colors. And if you're just really struggling with color schemes on your character, this is a good kind of like a good way to go. And then there's other websites such as the Adobe Cooler site here. And this kind of mentions some of the color schemes I had mentioned a few minutes ago. So you have this one little arrow here, you'll notice, and this is your main color spindle. So if you're going for like a triad, as it's selected here, red would be the main, and then it kind of picks, these colors will automatically move, and then you can basically just pick the saturation of it. I can't drag this over any, so I have to stay within the correct triad, and that builds a color scheme. So alternatively, I can click on monochromatic, and see that locks it all into the reds, since it'll just stay within this family. Then you can pick up the different shades within that one color, and bam, you just take this color scheme photos you can create from an image, or you could save this out. But yeah, then you could build a whole color scheme based on that. And there's the complementary ones, kind of like what I was doing as well. So different shades of red, and then you're also stuck in the green family. I think we did much more saturation ones, and then there's other sliders you can mess with them down here. But this is some tools I found online that are kind of easy and fun to use. Alright, now I can kind of show you how I can apply a color scheme like this one that I came up with using the previous method onto the character. So I have basically the color combo. I'll title that right here on this layer. Here's the characters. They're on their own layer. I'll make a layer in between them. I won't bother naming that for the time being. I will do this on an overlay layer. Overlay tends to work best in keeping the values and just kind of splashing color onto these. So like, alright, for instance, we can pick the color red, and see, it won't go over any area with white, but I start moving that over an area with value, and it will start picking that up. So that's super easy now. If I want to just color kind of like the scarf red, I just stay within the lines, basically. Well, not the lines of the border, but within the character itself, so I don't get crazy. I just keep the red on the scarf, like this. And now I can pick second color scheme. Basically, I want the bulk of the suit to kind of be black and white, which is why I kind of have some empty space here, because I do want that to read like that. But we also need a tone for the skin. I guess that's too light, so it's not picking that up. Ugh, that was a fail. So you just make a new layer above it. You can tone it so just like this. Oh, you know what it was? I made that on the color combination layer. That's why I was acting funny. Just delete that out. So whatever, yeah. Now we got a skin tone here. Whatever, we can apply that to the hand. Whatever, just an indication. Got the one glove, rocking the Michael Jackson, something like that. And now you can basically choose a color for the hair. You can get really crazy, or kind of even anime-ish if you go with like the color hair, and and then I don't want that pure white. So even though if it's going to be white, so if it is the pure white, you gotta kind of just add a little bit of gray into that. I can do that with a multiply layer, just so I don't ruin. Okay, so even though that's going to be like white on the finish, I just have to add a little bit of value for it to play with the colors here. So now go back to the overlay, pick this color. It's kind of like an off-white, and then just doing pure white. It'll just look better that way. Basically apply that to all the areas, that are going to be white within the character, and actually more of the skin be shown on the shoulder. Yeah, like that. And then I can alternatively go back to like some of these gray areas and either put this color, or I could just choose a different kind of color scheme for those white boots. But yeah, I'll probably end up going with something a little bit more more natural for the hair color. So I'll go up something probably like a brown. If the brown isn't working, or the brunette isn't working too well, you can slide it. This just serves as like kind of like a focal point, or like a base to base your colors off from. It doesn't have to be like the be all end all for your color scheme. And I'm not focusing. I'm intentionally kind of just painting out the faces at this, because I don't want to focus on the facial expressions at this stage. This is just on the design as a whole of the character, and you can gauge a lot by a character by looking at the expression. But take the whole point of breaking out in depth like a character design kind of process like this is to break each part of the character down into segments, which is what I am doing here. And so yeah, I could also experiment with this and keep the scarf really dark on this model. You maybe add a little bit of color into there. And then add some more of that flesh color in here, because on this one it could be kind of going down, showing a little bit more. The point is I don't know if I mentioned this previous, but I want a little skin kind of showing on the shoulders, or even maybe around the mid-chest there, because it kind of shows some vulnerability to the character. Because this character may be like, as I said, confident on the outside, but inside a lot of I want to say a lot of self-doubt brewing, and having some of the skin showing kind of can show a little bit of that vulnerability. Whatever. And then go back to picking some more of these colors here. Or that's on the wrong mode, and go to overlay. The point of the matter is, yeah, just use overlay to pick. I mean, I can pick any color, and yeah, if I want like the scarf to be green, I can overlay it as a green one. So that's kind of the process how I go about doing something like this. But yeah, ultimately I'm going to go with something around these two for the final, and I might just play with a couple variations on that, but generally the direction I want to go. I want kind of like a white middle with the black pants kind of coming up to that, with a little bit of a secondary tone or value scattered throughout that, with the red highlighting that. This blue, I think, is, I actually kind of like it, but I think it's stealing a little bit too much attention, so ultimately I would knock that out into like kind of like that cool, like, white hair, or I can play with the black hair too. But I don't know, I'll have to think about it, but yeah, something like that. Alright, I can show you now one more trick if you want to kind of just make these a little bit more presentable, and it's entirely optional. You can make somewhere pick about 75% gray, choose a gradient that just kind of fills the top, not a full one, so there's some transparency going in. You can drag that in, or that's the circle one, I want the straight. Drag that in from the top, basically stick this on a multiply layer, go back in, erase the lighter parts on your character. As such. So yeah, just having a little color coming on the top always kind of makes these look just a little more presentable if you were to present this to, you know, some of the, like the art directors or your even your colleagues. But yeah, you can just erase because some of this gray will bleed through to the character, and you just like this, you lose the face. You just want to preserve the original values of your design. Like so. And you could also, you know, give them a slight bit of glow if you bring the softness all the way up. Just kind of touch around the outline on the top of the character, kind of give them like a little bit of a glow. Feather it out like that. Kind of makes it look a little nicer. But it's, you know, it's entirely personal preferences. And then you could take that one step further if you wanted. If I, for instance, I took, do I have the basic shape of the character? Or take all these, basically like that. So you have a selection of them all. You just want the basic shape, so just fill in the other. Of course, this might be more work than it might be worth, because I have such a weird kind of selection to play with. Or yeah, but basically that's it. You make a new layer on that one as well. Hit edit fill with the same color here. So we have basically like a near solid anyway. But you do I've never done this with multiple silhouettes. I know this is kind of like really easy to do with one, but yeah, you can just bring these down. These are going to be the shadows. Yeah, see, it's kind of like tricky to balance this out with the 4 of them at the same time. But yeah, so it could work. This could work. Yeah, look at that. So in the shape of it, kind of will reflect the character silhouette. But see, this is off, so I'll have to like slide that over to here, and this one as well, like that. But we want these on the bottom. Then you can do a filter, Gaussian blur on that, so it's blurry like that. Yeah, you don't want those. You don't want those sharp. And then just kind of maybe lower the opacity on those by about 50%, and then you have characters standing with light and shadow, and yeah. So I was hesitant to turn the colors back on because if you did paint out the lines, they will now show since there's a value to pull from. Yeah, there's the essential idea of that.